Hi folks, and welcome back to Fishing with Den. Well, those videos I've been producing for the last few weeks regarding method feeders and hybrid feeders and how you fill them and load them seem to have actually aroused a lot of curiosity amongst you. And I've actually had some questions. I'll go into the questions in a second or two, but for anyone that hasn't been watching the channel lately, the first video I did was how you load a method feeder. The idea being, of course, with a method feeder, that your bait sits on top. In fact, I'll just use this one very quickly. The idea being that your bait is supposed to sit inside the method feeder like that. But of course, when I did the tank test, that didn't happen. It fell off the side. I did actually come up with an answer to that, and you know, it works fine. But I also didn't quite like how it was doing it and what I had to do to achieve that. So what I did last week, I went out and I used this. I called this my mini hybrid feeder, homemade obviously, but this one, nothing special you'd think initially, but it has what we call a sliding bait clip. And for some reason my other camera has decided to turn itself on, and I don't know why. Anyway, back to what we were doing. This was just your basic sort of feeder, but the idea was that, I'll use this one as an example. If that's your bait, you put it in to the clip. I'm trying to do this sort of so you can see it like that, and the idea is that it slides freely in the clip, and then when a fish takes, it rises up as far as the normal 4-inch hook length goes, and then it gets pulled out of the clip and away you go. So that was the plan. But one of the questions was, Den, could you do a more close-up and in-depth view of it? So what we'll do is I'll actually do a quick couple of still shots on here and just take you through exactly how this thing is built and how you actually put this thing in. So full disclosure then, this is the original feeder which I used on last week's day out when I caught plenty of fish, and I just used one of those little tubes out of a gel pen. Here it is, that's the inside tube. Take that off, put tap water down there, and it empties out, and then I gave it a bit of paint just to make it look right. That goes in as normal. Add a little tail rubber on like that, and that was basically it. Now the bit you didn't see was here. In fact, what I'll do is I'll take this back out again just in case that's obscuring anything. And you can see two little rubbers just here and here, and they're what trap the line. Now, as I say, full disclosure, I have actually changed things since then. We've gone across to this new one. This one uses the Guru X-Safe stems. Can be elasticated like this one, or it can be in line like the one I'm going to use in a second for the tests. You just put it in, and it just means I can use it either as inline or as a elasticated feeder, as I've just shown you. But this one, you'll see you've got the green elastic there. Now that actually isn't the hollow stuff I was using on this one. You can see that here hopefully. What that is 16 to 18 slick hybrid elastic, and it's made in such a way that they are squeezed together a little bit so that you push the line down through, and then just down below here you've got a slot which is where the line runs through. So if I show you that now, I'll do this all sort of backwards for me, but anyway, I've actually got a BB shot sitting on here because it's in line, and otherwise it'll just fall through. So that just simulates it being attached to the rod. So here's the bait, just a 14 hook with a single piece of corn on it, and in fact if I do it round this way, and this really is going to be awkward for me, literally all I'm going to do is push that down through the clip, and as you can see it really is free flowing. Try and lift that out then. There we are. Excuse me. So you can see the slack line on here, and it's it's like it's running through the guides on your rod. There's basically no resistance whatsoever to that. So that is the idea then. It keeps it right inside the feeder, but it also keeps the line fairly low down, so there's always a bit of ground bait or pellets on top of it. Right, that's the basic idea, and we're trying to achieve three things here. The first, of course, is to keep the bait where you want it inside the feeder, and you can have it up the back, pull it down close, you can have it further up on the bait pile, you can do whatever, but you've got the sliding effect. But then you've also got the effect of, as the fish takes the bait, I'll try and pull this in a bit, it lifts all the line up and pulls through, and it's free to run exactly as you would normally see it. And the third option is, if you want to, you could trap the bait inside these rubbers. Again, I'll try and do this so you can see. So you've just got a short tether. We'll call that a tether from now on. Obviously it's a 4-inch hook length, but we'll call it a tether. And now you can see that it's more fixed. It does still move slightly, but you can actually make that whatever length you like. Now personally, I'm not all that keen on that idea, simply because if you've only got that sort of hook length, if the fish sucks the bait in from up here, it may not have enough travel to actually reach the fish's mouth. Whereas in my way of doing it, like that, the fish comes down, sucks from here, and the bait will come right up to the normal sort of about 3.5 inches, and then as the fish jolts away, it comes out and away you go. So that's the theory then. And this is where we find out if a good plan actually worked or not. Or was it just that it worked in exactly the same way as any other hybrid feeder or method feeder, and I just caught fish because there was lots of fish there. Well, to prove it then, as I say, I've set this one up. This is the ground bait I used last week. It's ground bait with a mixture of micro pellets in it, and it's been in the freezer for the last week. Maybe feels a little bit drier than it should, but I'm going to go with it because it's what I used anyway. Now, I had to get used to how to load this thing up. Just move that line out of the way. So what I was doing last week was just putting the line in the clip as I've just shown you, and then I just held it off to one side there like that. Get some ground bait and pellets obviously, put the base layer in, and then just move that around so it's in the right location. You can pull down here, and then that's it, in position. We've now got that pretty much as we want it. It's actually sitting up quite well. Get some more bait on the top. I'm not going to squeeze too hard, I don't want this to take forever. Obviously how much is squeezed depends on how deep it is and what you're trying to achieve, but basically let's get this in and see how we go. Okay, so breaking down. The sweet corn is actually already visible, and we'll give it a few seconds just to see how this pans out. Obviously the ground bait's breaking down quite nicely, the micro pellets are falling off the side, which is obviously what you'd expect, but that's sitting there quite happily. It's probably been in now for what, 15-20 seconds or so. I'll give it another, say, 30 seconds, and then what we're going to do is we're going to just go in and lift up that bait somehow. I've got to get round this camera to do it somehow for you, but we'll see what we can achieve. Okay, well that's about a minute in, and it's pretty much the same as it was after 30 seconds or so. So what we'll try and achieve now then, somehow, and get this camera to see as well as everything else, in fact, I think what I'm going to have to do is if I come around this way, and if I pick this up like that, it comes up, and there we go. When it hits the clip, obviously the fish feels the resistance and pulls, and then off you go. That's it. Feeder's emptied. Hopefully you can see all this, and that did the job. So that's the first one. I may have to keep emptying this tank at this rate because it may not be all that visible at some point. I'll let all that settle, and then we'll do the second test, which is where I'm going to be wafting as if it's a fish's tail or something, see if it moves then. I'll get this all set up again while I'm waiting for that all to settle down. Okay, and I think we'll go with that and see what happens. I have to get the hose out shortly and hose the patio down. I've got ground bait all over the floor. She will not be happy. Okay, so it's in. Just move this line out of the way. Breaking down. We'll get to the point where the sweet corn is actually visible. Might as well have a drink of my coffee while I'm waiting. But you can see it's all breaking down quite nicely at the moment. Of course, there could be just pellets if you wanted it to. Now the sweet corn's just becoming visible. And it's probably been in for what, 20 or 30 seconds again. So I'll go around the back, and this time this is going to indicate pectoral fins, so we'll give it a bit of a swirl. Not seeing much happening so far. Sorry about my head. There we are, look. Sorry, can you see that? But that's actually staying in position rather well. So that's achieved that aim. And so obviously if you've got fish milling around in the area, that's actually being fixed in position by the way that the line comes back and through the clip, and then it comes down below the ground bait. So it does run very freely, but the ground bait does create a little bit of resistance just to hold that in place while it's doing that. I suppose the next thing is we need to give it big paddle tail. Now, obviously on this one, if you get a great big whoosh sort of thing where a big carp takes off, or even a fairly small carp takes off, that's going to create quite a large vortex. So we're going to give it a go, but I would suspect it probably will fall off to one side. You can't have everything in this world. So if I just get myself down far enough, and there we are, look. Well, that gave it a good swirl, and it's pretty much emptied the feeder, but the bait is still in the bottom. There's enough in there for another fish to come in, take a slurp, and if I can grab hold of this, take it up, and as before, releases, and you're done. So, is that the proof of the pudding for you? Obviously it would be nice if we did like the Guru boys did with their Corda all singing or dancing equipment and Steve Ringer doing the casting, to go out there and do one of those fantastic underwater videos. But this is about as good as I can get. But we're not finished yet. What we're going to do is we're going to turn this into pop-up time. I can find my thing. We can't really buy pop-ups over here in the same way as you can walk into a tackle shop in the UK and buy them. So this is just a chum mixer type dog biscuit, but puppy size. So I'll put this on the hook, and we're going to try this with the pop-up, like I said, just to see how that reacts to things. Now, I didn't try this the other day. This is just me thinking as I was doing the video. I actually drilled a 2mm hole in this one. So there we are, just to show you. Oh, definitely floats. Someone will probably complain now that I made it wet first. You can't win, can you? Okay, so I'll put this one in as before. I am laying it down over that way, but I'm wondering if maybe I should put it in that way and then draw it back through. In fact, we'll try that now. I haven't tried it before. So, base layer in. There we go. Now let's see if we can pull this back. Where are we? This might work better, but then again, you have got to pull it all the way down through the thing, so maybe not. Maybe the first way of doing it was a better way of doing it, but we can get there. Okay, that'll do. Just tamp that down a bit. Get some ground bait on and some pellets. As I say, this is the mix I was using the other day. I just decided to hang on to it to do this video. Put that one in. And this time what I'm hoping, of course, is that the pop-up will sit just fractionally above the bait feed, sorry, the bowl of feed, and we end up with a nice bit of bait just literally over the top. Give that a few seconds. That should be starting to emerge any second now. That bait's falling away nicely. In fact, I can just see the bait on top of the bait ball there. Obviously it's almost the same colour, so I don't know how much we're going to get on this from the cameras. And this one looking down through, well, it's going to be very murky. In fact, it's going to be murky for all of them now. But I can certainly see that the bait is sitting neatly just above the ball. Again, we could leave it a little bit longer if we wanted to, but I think, as far as I'm concerned, let's do the third test and go around here. And if I can see what I'm doing, there it is. If I lift up, yeah, again, you can see it came up nice and neatly there. Didn't take any pressure whatsoever. Fish feels it, bolts, ground bait more or less empties, and there you go. So, what do you think? Do you think it's a goer? Do you think all the other manufacturers will copy me? Fishing with Den's hybrid feeders with the sliding bait clip. For me, I'm pretty sure it's a winner. But hey, look, I'll leave it down to you guys to decide what you think of it. I'm going to continue to use them, and in fact I'm going to convert all my other larger hybrid feeders to having this bait clip situation. So that's it for another one, guys. Hope you enjoyed it. As always, if you did, click the like button. If you want to subscribe, feel free. And if you feel that you can donate, that'll help to pay for a camera which will do 5.3K instead of my 2.7K, which is on this camera here. But if you can't, hey, don't worry about it. I enjoy doing these videos for you, and certainly you guys seem to receive them pretty well. But look, that's it, as I say. I'll see you next time. Bye for now.